Greetings summoners, and welcome back to another ProGuides Wild Rift video. I'm your host Terry, and today we have OP picks for the low elo. These champions are incredibly easy to learn and play at the base level, so they're much more friendly for players who don't want to worry about every nuanced mechanic. For those of you who don't know, our definition of low elo is ranks up to Platinum 1. We'll have a separate video highlighting high elo picks coming out later this week, so stay tuned for that. But before we begin, we have our question of the day. How do you guys feel about Wild Rift's matchmaking system? We've gotten a lot of improvements to the before game rituals, from role selections and bans, but I feel like matchmaking is still an issue that a lot of players seem to be complaining about. Be sure to leave your answers down in the comments below. The first OP pick we have for you today is Gragas. He's got pretty much everything you want in a bruiser. Crowd control, mobility, and area of effect damage. The pick has a surprisingly high amount of DPS built into his kit. For anyone who's been hit by his fat belly and immediately flung back by the splash from his barrel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you who haven't really seen him in Wild Rift, check out this quick gameplay highlight to see what I mean. We recommend building him primarily AP, since he's naturally pretty tanky and his damage scales wonderfully with ability power. In regards to the rest of the picks, he's definitely a bit on the trickier end of the spectrum, since he actually has some skill shots that you need to hit. But don't let this deter you from playing him. Since Gragas' body slam keeps the enemy still, simply throw out the barrel preemptively or immediately after hitting them with his protruding gut for a guaranteed hit of his first ability barrel roll. And the greatest part about Gragas is that all of his abilities can hit multiple targets. This means that you don't necessarily have to worry about who to focus. Instead, you can just hit them all. There are definitely some advanced combos Gragas can pull off, but even without knowing them, a basic understanding of his skills should be more than enough to carry you through your games. I also want to take some time to thank you guys for being such an amazing community. This channel wouldn't be able to see the success that it does without you. For those of you who want to be a more active member of our community, join our ProGuides Wild Rift Discord. The second OP pick for today is Annie. Underestimating the child might get you burned. In regards to kit, she's kind of similar to Gragas, since she benefits from area effect damage and AoE crowd control, while also loving a good engage. But what differs is that unlike the Fat Man, who has CC built into every ability, Annie actually only has lockdown on her passive, Pyromania. This passive empowers every 5th ability Annie uses, stunning the target hit. And since her second ability Incinerate and ultimate Tibbers are super easy to hit area effect skills, Annie excels at destroying clumped up enemies. In the lower elo, players tend to ignorantly group together, even if doing so will result in everyone getting hit by a massive area effect stun. When playing Annie, look for these opportunities and stun as many enemy units as possible with your empowered ultimate. Mastering this single mechanic on Annie is sure to yield some great results. It also helps the eye necessary to look for these windows of opportunity are applicable to many other champions as well, such as Sona, Amumu, and even Wukong. Annie is rewarded for last hitting minions with her first ability Disintegrate, refunding the mana cost of the ability. This makes it a cinch to CS with her. Here's some gameplay to show you just how strong she can be. Another champion that's rewarded for last hitting minions with their first ability is Nasus. This makes him a great champion for those who need more practice farming, since he'll literally get stronger the more he farms with Siphoning Strike. So keep an eye on your minions and be sure to get those last hits. In regards to playstyle, he's a tank that scales into a late game monster. Unlike the other two picks, Nasus is very much focused around single target damage rather than area effect damage. Use your second ability, Wither, to slow down the unfortunate fool who dared to come into striking distance of you and slap him down with Siphoning Strike. If the enemy tries fighting back, attempting to peel you off, just pop your ultimate Fury of the Sands. This grants Nasus additional defensive stats, a significantly lower cooldown on his first ability, and even extended range on his auto attacks, making it even harder to escape the oversized dog. If you're struggling to deal damage, don't be afraid to stand to the side and just farm it up. The pick isn't that great if you don't have enough stacks on your Siphoning Strike, so don't feel bad if you have to abandon your team for a little while to become relevant. It's better than being completely useless later on, and it's sometimes just a sacrifice that you need to make. He's also great in the 1v1 scenarios, since as mentioned before, his damage is largely single target, further incentivizing split pushing and farming up. A quick look at Nasus' insane damage in the late game should convince you to farm up with the doggo. Our last pick for the day is Garen. He's got literally no skill shots and is therefore largely based on targeting the right enemies at the right time. Quite honestly, he's as simple as a champion gets, and he's also quite strong at the moment. I highly recommend players looking for a barrel lane champion to try him. Garen's third ability, Judgment, spins him in a circle, dealing damage to all those hit by his twirling blade. Use this to either shred through the enemy or trim the minion wave. Whatever the case, don't feel shy in spamming the skill. Garen doesn't have any mana, therefore doesn't lose out too much for repeatedly using his abilities. The key to playing Garen is to out-sustain your enemies by creating trading situations where they simply cannot win. Do so by managing minion waves efficiently and denying the enemy's plays by silencing them with Garen's first ability, Decisive Strike. Since the skill isn't a conventional, hard lockdown ability, it can get a little confusing in regards to how much utility you're actually getting from it. But don't let the lack of a visual indication let you believe that the skill is weak. A silence prevents the enemy from using their abilities, and therefore creates a wonderful opportunity to slice away at their health. Depending on matchups, this completely denies certain champions their playstyles. Practice abusing the single mechanic effectively, since it's sure to completely bully many low elo players. Here's an example of effective trading as Garen. Garen's strength is further emphasized by his outrageous sustain. The natural health regeneration on his passive, Perseverance, allows him to get back into tip-top shape in no time. Meanwhile, enemy has to frantically run back to their honey fruit. Thanks to this sustain, as long as you're breaking even in trades, you're essentially winning in the long run. Continue whittling at their health until they become low enough to all-in engage, executing your opponent with the Mossian Justice. Keep in mind, these picks are recommended for low elo players, so players below Emerald. We'll have a separate video for high elo, so be on the lookout for that later this week. Thanks for watching today's video. Don't forget to address the question of the day in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for everything Wild Rift. Until next time, stay safe and have fun.